good. Good. Okay. Great. Okay. Paul, you want to say something into that microphone just to make sure it's working?
Shalom, everybody.
No, okay, hold on. That. Wait a minute. That didn't work, so. Wait a minute. Are you up there? Oh, goodness. Now I really don't know what's going on. Okay. Just took a second to catch up.
This is
Okay. Let's see if we can do this right this morning. My goodness. You want to do Suke? Do your chakras and what's up together?
whatever.
Good. Okay. Good morning. Good Shabbos. So, here we are. Lovely to see all of you. Last night we tried to stream via Zoom, and it was a good effort, but like a C- for execution. So we're on Facebook and YouTube this morning. We're delighted to have you all here. But if those of you watching at home, have some friends who you think might be confused, maybe give them a buzz or check in with them somehow. Make sure they made it over here, because that's not what I put in my announcement. So I'm sorry. We're experimenting. We'll see. We're continuing to learn. But we're delighted to be here all together, whether we're physically together here or together online. Really nice to be celebrating Shabbat. We will begin the morning lesson on page 103.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hashem natan l'safivinu l'chivenu v'ben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani b'tzamo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pateach ivri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam adi sharami. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam atir asuri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'tef techotim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam kachal haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hameshim v'tzadei v'acher. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shalachas lifat tzorti. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam osir Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam osir Yisrael b'sipara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanosim liya'ei kol. Stand hayom b'chol yom chayim chesed rachamim and achodem v'roim v'simolin chasadim tovim Yisrael. Asher Amotov Lakenem Anai Gorla My Fire Chaseno Asher Shalach Moshkim Marizim Elvot Lomim Papa Yem Befoyam Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Kadeshe Shema Kishe Shema Kadeshe Shema Nakot Ushvat Kavasela Kanena Baruch Adonai Kadeshe Shema Rabbi. Liz Moshe. Faktum misbelievers fully without the sake because there is some thought the man to make that of a yidam and a lo high lo not okay. Baruch Shema Baruch Yachid El Minach Mishubah Friday Shema Agadol Baruch Adonai Welcome the Lord by Tishbah Holiday.
Now we continue on page 136.
Ashrei Teveseh Totally what I said. Last night ever Katie, very public session, Kachali Lomba, very young, it's Aviyad Allah. Hallelujah.
Psalm 150 on page 141.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Interaction, body, or spirit, as you just came from creation.
Hayam bekatetmeye Jehovah Hayam de Basha. Thereafter came a shock of himself, como heaven bana in my Vayashan Hayam Ho, Esisrael Miyavisrael. Vayah Israel Mitzrayim, and also Moseim. Vayah Israel Esne, Vela Shirasa, and Agri Israel. V'yir Mesanai, V'yir Baranai, Uvashe Adon. Oz Yashir Moshe, Uveni Yisrael, Es Hashira Hasos, Adonai Vayomru Leimor, Oshira Ladonai, Keda Oho, Suskara, Yeshua, Ze'eli B'Yamegu, Elohi Avi Aramenu, Arizal, Amarana Shem. Adonai Malach Le'olam Va'ed, Adonai Malach Le'olam Va'ed. Oh, do you want to read that in English?
There is a conflict, Aaron speaks of the timberlake for him, let out, followed by all of them, timberlake and him. Mary Elizabeth response, sings to Adonai with the kind of glory, who is past works and riders in Jesus.
Adonai Malach Moshe V'Goyim, Lo Moshiv V'Haitzin Shv'Asar Esav, V'Haisol Aaron Malach V'Hayom Malach Ha'aretz, V'Yam Hu Yerechad, V'Shema V'Echad.
We see it as we turn to page 140.
Nishmat Kol Chai Tivoret Eshvin Chol. Yishmalach, Yishalach, Miyarlach, Hoyal HaGadol, Harach, Eliam, Kanesh Shemayim Baris, Halach, Lajabek, Fan Vak, Fan Rek, Hashem, Tachifak, Amor, David, Vakin Yashia, Sadanai Vakak, Rabbi, Shani, Kwan, Shah, Ehel, Besan, Tzimut, Zaka, HaGadol, Bekoshimaka, Agibol, Netzach, Hanor, Nora Sefa, Mamela Hayoshe, Abdi Seiram, Beniso.
Extra class. So you see, being for traffic, we go for the traffic. I'll make no thing exist without you, and none can be like you, the source of all, maker and creator. You have no image, you have no image. I observe that the soul loves in the heart, recognizing its need. The glorious web encompassing all, for in you all find its place, but you occupy no place. My soul sees the unseen, comes face to seeing the unseen, and blessed together. Page 100. Continue at the top of page 153. Kadosh, 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 So let us instead, Sarah, if you're up for it, what we'll do is we'll read out of the Kikun instead of reading the Torah out of the Ark. So we can see the blessing for studying Torah, and we'll read a little bit out of the Kikun and study as we go, and then we'll talk about the Torah together. So come on up to the center podium here. We can all open our eighth time, page 146. We're reading Parshat Toldot. We got lots to talk about today, Parshat Toldot. So we'll just do that. So that you can read in the same place we were for Aliyot in the Torah, but we'll just kind of chat about some stuff we're reading. So we'll start, we'll do the lesson together for studying Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yishar v'mitzvotav v'zivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah. Praise are you, Adonai our God, who makes us holy with his mitzvot, who commands us to immerse ourselves in the study of Torah. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. So the first Aliyah, Toldot means generations. So I'm reading about the generations of Abraham. Ve'ela Toldot Yitzchak ben Abraham. Abraham believed Yitzchak. Vayi Yitzchak ben Arba'im Shana. Bekachto et Rivka. Vabetuel ha'arami v'padan Aram. Achot Lavan Arami lo leisha. Vayetar Yitzchak l'Adonai v'koach ishto ki akarafi. Vayeter lo Adonai v'taharika ishto. Vayirotu habanim b'kirbaha. Vatomer imekain lama ze'anochi. Vatelech lidrosh et Adonai.
So this first Aliyah, we're coming off of the Parshat Sarah, and I love the character of Yitzchak, and I have so much trouble with him. So join me on this little journey here. He's one of those that if you ever, I don't know, if you have a favorite television series and you start out and there's a character you love, and then in the next season you're like, what is this person doing? I hate this character now. And then you go back to fresh. Does anybody else have this experience? Okay, that's how I feel about Isaac in Sarah, and then Toldot, and then kind of throughout. Like sometimes I think he's doing great, and sometimes I think he's really not doing very well at all. So far I think he's doing great. We ended with Sarah, and we hear that Isaac and Rebecca love each other. And that might be something we gloss over, but the idea of romantic love is not so common in this context, right? That's not why people get married. So the fact that the Torah tells us that they love each other is a big deal. In fact, they love each other so much that Rivka fell off her camel the first time she saw him. She was just so overwhelmed by how handsome he was. And then we hear that they really love each other and that they took comfort in each other. And so now we open this parsha, and again they're having a very difficult time in their relationship where they want to have children, and they aren't able to do that. And we see that Isaac prays on Rebecca's behalf, which again, to us might be like, okay, yeah, of course, right? But if you actually go back and you go back to the story of Abraham and Sarah, you never hear that about them. And in fact, in the sister wife story, where Abraham goes into the land of Abimelech, right, and he passes on Sarah as his sister, and then Abimelech, all of Abimelech's wives and concubines are ill, and the Torah tells us that their illness is that they're all barren, all at the same time. And Abraham prays on their behalf, and then they're cured. So my first question is, why do you ever do that for Sarah? Right? So this is like a thing that happens, right? In different contexts, but Abraham and Sarah have a much different relationship, and here we see that Isaac and Rebecca, so far, right? The opening of this week's episode, right, is that they have a very close, intimate, emotional relationship. But we're going to see how that goes on. So let's keep going at the top of page 147.
So this is Leah I'm reading about the twins. Vayomer Adonai la shnei goyim b'vinei u'shnei l'umim me'ayit yipareju u'om il ye'emat v'rav ya'avod sa'ir vayolu yamehalales v'hinei tomi b'vinah vayetze harishon admoni kulo ka'aderet se'ir ויקראו שמו עשיו, ואחריכם יצא אחיו, וידו אוחזת בעקב עשיו, ויקרא שמו יעקב, ויזכר בן 60 שנה ולדת אותם.
So we'll go to verse 23, the last three words, the Rav Ya'avod Sa'ir. I promise this is the only grammar lesson we're going to have today. You could actually read this two ways. Rav Ya'avod Sa'ir, the older shall serve the younger, or Rav Ya'avod Sa'ir, the older, comma, the younger shall serve. Not helpful at all, but because we are descendants of Jacob, and this is our holy text, we read it that the younger one gets the good stuff, right? So that serves our interest. But just pointing out to you that Rebecca gets this very unclear prophecy, and that affects the rest of her children's lives. Okay, let's continue.
ויגדלו הנערים, ויהי עשיו, איש יודע צעיר, איש שדה, ויעקב איש תום, יושב אוהלים, ויאהב יצחק את עשיו כי צעיר בפיו, ורבקה אוהבת את יעקב, ויעזד יעקב נזיר, ויבוא עשיו מן השדה והוא עייף, ויאמר עשיו אל יעקב, הליטני נא מן אדום האדם הזה, כי עייף אנו, כי על כן קרא שמו אדום. ויאמר יעקב, נכרח היום את בכורתך לי. ויאמר עשיו, הנה אנוכי הולך למות, ולמה תלי בכורה? ויאמר יעקב, ישבע לי כיום, וישבע לו, ומכור את בכורתו ליעקב. ויעקב נתן לעשיו לחם וזית עדשים, ויאכל וישת, ויקום וילך, ויבז עשיו את הבכורה.
Okay. I have a lot of questions about this section, and I want to hear what you have to say. I told some of you last night that in middle school this week, we did this whole mock trial thing about the four members of this family, sort of what each of them is doing, and I want your perspective too. Okay, so the boys grow up. Esau is in the brawny big battle man, right? He's a manly man, he likes to play outside, and he's pretty strong. And Yaakov is, he likes to stay at home, he likes to cook, he likes to read, he's kind of a homebody. And the parents have favorites. So let's talk about that. This is the audience participation plan. What do we make of this? Of Yitzhak favoring Esau and Rivka favoring Yaakov? Does anybody object to this? Does anybody want to defend the parents? And for those of you watching on Facebook, in your Shabbat practice, to comment on the Facebook now or later, feel free to also kind of start a conversation there as well. But what do we think about parents choosing sides? Yeah, Paul.
I mean, I think it's wrong. Yeah, I just think in the context of the story, the promise that's made is that Jacob, that Esau or Jacob is made only to Rebekah.
Right.
So, Jacob doesn't develop that. So that's like, reading it, a little bit of the commentary, so that's why Rebekah is supposed to be taken.
Right. So the commentaries come to Rivka's defense. Say she's just doing what God told her. Right? God said the younger is supposed to be served by his older brother, right? And this is counter to the way society was structured at the time. So Rebecca has to work in Jacob's interest because he's already starting from behind, and she knows that he's supposed to end up ahead. So, okay, Rebecca is just doing what she's supposed to do. Still.
Well, it strikes me that Esau was demanding something from Jacob for the first time. And, so Jacob was just trying to trade off what Esau wanted. So maybe Esau was not right. He was good.
Yeah. He's bullying his brother.
Bullying his brother. So Jacob was fine. The boys are fighting.
Great.
And they're very good.
Great. This is one of those audios where I want so much more information. Because I feel like you could read it a bunch of different ways. So my first question is kind of related to what Paul said. So as the commentary say, and as you said, Paul, only Rebecca gets this prophecy. I think if I got a prophecy like that, I might share it with my husband. If it was going to affect, all of my parenting forever, I might share that information, right? So why, when we've just learned about how loving and how close and how intimate, right, that they're supposed to be this lovely couple, and the end of Hayek Sarah and the beginning of Toldot set us up to think that they're this ideal couple. How come she doesn't tell Isaac? That baffles me. Or maybe she does, right? So that's kind of one of these blanks that I would like more information about. And then I have a lot of questions for Isaac, right? Isaac was the youngest, who was supposed to inherit the covenant and the property, in contrast to the way that society expected things to go. And so what's up with him favoring the eldest? Right? And why is he's just survived this very traumatic family sibling rivalry. And in the talk that I gave at college a couple weeks ago about Hayek Sarah, I looked through some of the commentaries and the midrashim that imagine that Isaac actually reunites Abraham and Hagar after Sarah died. So after Sarah died, Abraham marries somebody else named Keturah, and a lot of the texts, including Rashi, think that's just another name for Hagar. And so it seems like Isaac does all this work in his family of origin to sort of bring his siblings back into the fold, bring his, I don't know the word, stepmother or second mother, whatever you want to call it, right? Bring these people back into the fold, and then in his marital family, he kind of blows it all up and makes the same mistakes as his father. So that's very puzzling to me. And then here in verse 27, Vayitzalu Handa Arim. The boys grow up. I would just love to know how old they are, right? I would just, are these 15-year-olds who are bullying each other and beating each other up? Are these 30-year-olds who are not acting their age, right? And sort of what is the deal? Like Sue, you said, maybe Esau is coming in and bullying Jacob, right? Maybe this is the first time that Jacob has ever had the upper hand on his brother, right? Esau's supposed to be this big, strong guy, and he's always wailing on him, you know? I can kind of understand being tricky. Or maybe they're grown adults and Jacob is actually being like kind of a jerk here because he should be acting better. There's so much context here that we really don't know. And but I love that kind of in our imagination what exactly is going on. But either way, we ended this section with Esau saying, I'm so hungry I'm gonna die. So what do I care about the birth rate? I'm gonna die. Just give me some soup. And many people, their practice to make them lentil soup this Shabbos. So if that's your thing, you might be over for lunch. That is tons of stuff. Where do we continue with the fourth Lydia?
Well, normally it's another six.
Yeah, okay, so,
Great. Snatches the blessing.
okay, so let's
But,
go.
I just wanted to say that,
Yeah,
Abraham, I think, favored Isaac over Ishmael because Ishmael and Hagar were kicked out of the house. So.
I have a lot of questions about that one because I was reading, I don't think that was right either. I was reading Child's Torah commentary, which I enthusiastically encourage all of us traditional progressive Jews to own. And he was pointing out that actually in both of these stories, the women decide who gets the covenant. And we kind of blow past that plot point a little bit, right? But in the Abraham story, right, Abraham is supposed to have a child, and at first, Sarah's the one who says, like, here, have Hagar, because I can't have children. And then later, God reminds them both, okay, so it's actually supposed to be the child of Abraham and Sarah. And Sarah gets pregnant, and she sees the boys growing up together, and she becomes very jealous of Ishmael, and it's at Sarah's initiative that they kick out Hagar and Ishmael, and that the covenant goes to Isaac. So that, and then here again, it's Rebecca who kind of furthers Jacob. So it's really, really interesting. Okay, page
So,
someone.
yeah, it starts with like, verse 28, I think.
Yeah, page 157. It's chapter 27, verse 28.
ויתן לך האלוהים מטל השמיים ומשמני הארץ וראות גם תירוש יעבדוך עמים וישתחוו לך לאומים הבאים גביר לאחיך וישתחוו לך בני אמך ארורך ארור וברכך בארור ויהי כאשר קילה יצחק לברך את יעקב ויהי אך יצא יעקב מאת בני יצחק אביו ועשו אחיו מצאתו ויעש גם הוא מטעמים ויבא לאביו ויאמר לאביו ויקום אביו ויאכל מצאת בנו בעבור תברכני נפשך ויאמר לו יצחק אביתי אתה ויאמר אני בנך בכורך עשיו ויקבע יצחק הרדה גדולה עד מאוד ויאמר מאיפה ויבני ואוכל מכל בטרם תבוא ברכהו גם ברוך יהיה ישמע עשיו את דברי אביו ויצעק צעקה גדולה נורא עד מאוד ויאמר לאביו ברכני גם אני אביו ויאמר באחיך במרמה ויקח ברכתך ויאמר אחיך רב שמו יעקב וגיבני זת עמים את בכורתי ha. V'hinei ata l'kaker kativa vayomar halo atalta li beraka vaya'an Yisrael vayomer le'esav hey Givir Samti la v'ekol echav Natati lo lavadini v'dagan v'tirosh l'maktiv Ulechav echo ma eseveni.
A little bit. I love this. I love this one so much. So, my understanding has always been that when Esau sells his birthright for some soup, he's sort of selling his property rights. And then now Jacob sort of finishes the transaction by also taking like the spiritual birthright. So it's like a two-part step. And the end of chapter 26 tries to reconcile some of the difficulty that we're having. Right? Why did Rebecca and Isaac do this? Why? How can we be proud of being descendants of Jacob when he does this by step? And the next several Torah portions try to reconcile that. The one thing that happens at the end of chapter 26 that I personally don't love, but it's a clever literary device at least, is they talk about how Esau had married people who are very displeasing to his parents. That he married foreign people, and that this is why, therefore, Jacob has to be the one to inherit the birthright, because his descendants will become his own people. I don't really love that. I think it's very beautiful, but there it is. It's in the Torah. We should at least know about it, right? And then we have this thing, right, where Rebecca helps Jacob receive his father, and I wonder how much Isaac does and doesn't know what's going on. He asks a lot of questions before he finally gives Jacob his blessing, and I wonder if he doesn't really know what he's doing. I don't know. I think you could argue either way. Hey, you know what I love here in verse 38, where Esau says, "What, do you only have one blessing?" And this, to me, is the line that redeems Esau above all the other people. Because to me, it seems like this whole time, Esau has been saying, like, what has the competition been about? Why do you only have enough love for one of us? Right? Why has there been such a problem between me and my brother? Why have you pitted me and my brother against each other? Don't you have enough blessings for both of us? And to me, that really redeems Esau above all the other characters, where he's just saying, why has this catastrophe, why has this been the way it's been our whole lives? And what are you doing? And so Isaac weeping, it's like, wow, it's not only that he hasn't blessed the son he wanted to bless, but perhaps realizing that he's really messed up all along. That he did not have to provide these blessings. Yeah, well,
I've always had a lot of problems with faith.
me too.
And I discussed it with others, and the only way I can understand that it justifies it is like part of a master plan.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, he's taking advantage of his brothers, so on and so on. I think other stuff happens down the line, where he favors, one side or the other. I have a lot of problems.
A lot of problems with Jacob too. It's really interesting to compare Jacob's story to other trickster stories from the ancient world, right? And Greek literature or like in other ancient Mesopotamian literature. I agree. He's not a character who demonstrates great values. And like I said, the Torah struggles to redeem him throughout the rest of his life. And he gets kind of close, when he wrestles with the angel, and the angel's kind of right, and he reconciles with Esau, and that's kind of okay. Then, like you said, he perpetuates this among his own children, and you sort of come together, like, what are you doing? How did you not learn our lesson? And just why is there enough to go around? Okay, we're continuing on page 159.
Vayomer Esav el Aviv, Habaraka acharati lecha avini, veracheni gam ani avi, vayisa Esav kolo vayevek, Vayan Yitzchak Aviva Yomer Elav Hine Mishmane Haaretz Yikyeh Moshevecha Umitala Shemayim Me'al Ve'el Karbecha Tikyeh V'et Achita Ta'avod V'hayah Kasher Tari Ufadakta Ulo Me'al Tavarecha Vayistom Esav et Yaakov al haverach asher berko aviv vayomer Esav belibo ikrevu yemei evel aviv vaharga et Yaakov achiv vayugat l'rivka et divrei Esav b'nahal gadol vatishlach vatikra liYaakov b'nah hakatan Vatomer elav, v'hine Esav ha'akika, v'nakeh lecha leharkecha, v'yatav v'nishma b'koli, v'kum v'rach lecha, elavan akika rahana, v'yishavta imo yamim akadim, ad asher tashuv kamad akika, ad shuv avakika mimecha, v'shachach asher asita lo, Veshalati ulkati hamisham lama eshkol gam shenechem yom echad vatomer rivka et Yitzchak kad siracha yahad v'yifne b'nokei ilokei Yaakov ishavim yalokei ha'ela b'dot ha'aretz lama li chayim.
Excellent. So, on the one hand, I'm really excited that there's a woman running the show and the Torah, and then on the other hand, Rebecca is so devious and so conniving. I mean, this is very clever, right? She said, okay, you're going to run away from Esau, because he can kill you. But then the story that she tells to Isaac is totally different about why is Jacob leaving. Right? Because she still isn't being honest with Isaac about how involved she is. And so she says to Isaac, oh, I'm really upset about who Esau has married, and so I'm going to send Yaakov to my brother so that he marries from among my own family. And so she's so devious, she's so conniving, and on the one hand, it's like, good for you, that woman is taking charge, because Isaac is clearly not doing it. But on the other hand, I don't like what she's doing with her power very much. And then there's one spot point to focus on, because we kind of gloss over this sometimes. Right? Esau said, as soon as we're done with the velos for our father, right? As soon as we're done mourning our father, I'm going to kill Jacob. This is like a great full sentence, right? I'm going to wait until my father dies, and until we mourn him. I'm so angry that I want to kill my brother, but I'm patient enough that I'm going to wait until my father dies, and until we're done mourning him. Which is a very interesting sentence. And you'll know that in a few parshas, when Jacob comes home, right, it's supposed to be 20, maybe even 30 years later, that Isaac is still alive. And sometimes we forget that, because it's not the main plot point, but Jacob and Esau reconcile and bury Isaac together, and we kind of skip that sometimes. It's like an important chronology thing. We are continuing up to 160.
Vayikra Yitzchak el Yaakov vayvarech oto vaytzavenu vayomer lo tikach isha mivno Canaan kum lepadena Aram vaytavetu el avimecha v'kach lecha misham isha mivno Lavan achimecha ve'el Shaddai yivarech otcha V'yafrecha, v'yarbecha, v'hayita likal anim, v'yitain lecha et berkat Abraham, lecha uzar achad itach, l'rishtecha et eretz megurecha, asher natan Elohim le'Abraham.
Interesting that Isaac calls Jacob back. That's the second time on purpose. How have a lot of questions about that. But, I think that this chapter, the end of this parsha here, is Torah trying to do some damage control about the things that we just discussed. Like, oh, no, it's okay, because in the end, Isaac also blesses Jacob on purpose. I think that's that. And finally, the seventh and last year,
וישלח יצחק את יעקב וילך דנה אברהם הלבן בתואל הארמי אחי רבקה עם יעקב ועשיו וירא עשיו כי ברך יצחק את יעקב ושילח אותו דנה אברהם לקחת לו משם אישה בברכו אותו ויצב עליו לאמור לא תיקח אישה מבנו כנען וישמע יעקב אל אביו אל אמו וילך בדנה אברהם וירא עשיו כי ראות בנו כנען בעיני יצחק אביו וילך עשיו אל ישמעאל ויקח Emachalat, Yishmael ben Abraham, Achot Nevayot, Al Nasham lo leisha.
so again, I think some damage control here where the Torah is trying to say, well, they had their reasons, and it kind of worked out okay. I don't know. But I don't know, what do you all take away from this part portion? I can have a lot of questions and a lot of things. That too, yes, too.
There's our flavor of Esau here, because, he's still trying to find flavor in the text, and we realize he did something that was exclusive to them, even though they realized it's him, but he's willing to make changes. And he went back and took a wife from his family, his own family.
I have a lot of sympathy for Esau too, and it's funny because later rabbinic traditions, in the Talmud and the Midrash, spend a lot of energy trying to make Esau look bad. And it's one of those slave and death things that you protest too much, right? That we have to find a way to make Jacob a good guy because we're descended from him, but they have to work really hard to make Esau the bad guy. And in a lot of ancient rabbinic traditions, they spend a lot of time trying to connect Esau and the Roman Empire. And there's all this kind of sleight of hand work to connect Edom and Rome, and to sort of really hate on Rome as this, oh, you're the biggest army in the world, and you have all this muscle power, but you have no substance, and you're kind of these bad people, and you're descended from Esau. And to me, it's like, you're working too hard here. You're working so hard that it's telling you that this isn't true. Like, Esau is not, in fact, the bad guy that we kind of need him to be okay with this story. So I agree with you. I'm very sympathetic to Esau here. Yeah, Seth.
I just wondering, why did Canaanite women displease Isaac? Just,
All that xenophobia in the Torah is rough. I mean, why does the royal family not like their daughters-in-law?
right,
Same reason, I think. You could basically tell this story about Prince William and Prince Harry, I think, in a lot of ways. We're the elite family, and we can only marry among ourselves, because our family is the family, and so our descendants are descended from Canaanites or commoners, they're not gonna have royal lineage, I mean,
like quote unquote, well, we don't want you associating from kids from that part of town.
it's not great, it's not a good look.
But in the context of the Torah, they're supposed to be idol people.
In the context of the Torah, they're supposed to be idol worshippers, and I can get on board with that a little bit, that, they're trying to create a new religion, and they want people who are going to be supportive of the new religion, and who aren't going to take their descendants back to idol worshiping. I can kind of get on board with that. It's not like Rachel and Leah don't worship idols when they first married Jacob, right? Like, he has to do some education and indoctrination for them too. So, who knows? It's not a great look. It's not great book, and because, right, in addition to being the story that tells us about our values and tells us about our ancestors, part of the role of the Torah is to be our argument about why we as monotheists shouldn't have to learn this stuff. And so part of the Torah's agenda is to tell us why the Canaanites don't belong here and why we should like them. So, you know, it has an agenda. Other, yeah, so, okay, good, I love it.
Christianity, there is no disabled, nobody is children, and we're starting, we're learning about our history by the stories of families. And how important it is to families, even though there's a lot of strife within families, they're learning to be important and to come together.
Yeah, I like that a lot, that is interesting, that our holy text kind of deals with the messiness of family. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That is interesting, I hadn't thought about that, let's think about that more, yes,
I was gonna say that, I didn't read this today, but when Isaac kept digging wells and they kept getting taken over by the Philistines and all that sort of stuff. I was reading a commentary that it shows us that we should never give up and have perseverance.
Oh, yeah, I like
That
that.
was really an interesting commentary.
Yeah. The thing about the wells is so interesting, for sure, and it does, but also, like, why don't they like the Canaanites? Like, the Canaanites are also not nice to them, right? It's not just like they're friendly neighbors and these people are being snubbed. They are also kind of in competition and often sort of in violent conflict with each other. So you can kind of understand, you know, like the Montagues and the Capulets have been not great to each other for a while, but it's a very interesting portion. Yeah, Stu, you have that.
Is there any reason how they get the sons that you saw? I'm sorry, how was the sons that you saw after he married?
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know it, so we can look for one. I'm sure there's a lot. I'm sure they're not nice though. The Midrash, by the time of the Midrash, they really hate Rome and they're working hard to hate themselves. So I'm sure it's not nice, but it exists. And that would be really interesting to look for. So here we are, and like Stu pointed out, you know, this is a text that deals with families, and families are messy, and it's a cool thing that our text will deal with it anyway. Our holy text will talk about families and will deal with some of the really, really difficult stuff as a way of showing us where we come from and telling us the truth, or, you know, a version of the truth about where we come from, and not trying to make it neat and tight. Like, I don't think I would believe the Torah as much. I mean, I would, but I think I would take it a little bit less seriously if it was like perfect and neat and tidy all the time. So you have to call up beautiful reading and great conversation, friends. We have so much to study. I love the Joseph saga that we're coming up on. So we'll have lots to do. If for some reason you've gotten this far in your lives without reading the red tent, now is the time to read it again as we study that Torah portion in the coming weeks. And we look forward to all of that. Also, Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, same plot. Good time of year. Let's turn to a Mishnah Berurah on page 173. Those in need of healing, and if there's someone's name you'd like to add, I invite you to flag. Mishnah Berurah, Elohim Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov, Moshe Sarah Sarah Leah, Yirah Yirah Hamolim. Last year about Miriam, Carl Roy, I'm Gershom and Gitzel, I'm Eva about Messiah, Anna about Luca, Anna Gabriela about Ruka Etta, Anna Shmuel about Michael, Aslan Tor about Razel, Deborah Burris, Joseph Lane and Rose, Kaishel Shetzel, Ugaya Shmuel and Malafina, Jordan Gidwitz, Betsy Amir, Hira about Anna, Nancy Wyszynski, Tessa Herschel ben Elka, Mohamed Zed about Sarah, Rachel about Mordecai, Ruben Yitzhak ben Yosef, Yuka Isha about Krita, Yuka Elisa about Diathea, Rachel about Leonia, Sandra de Efraim, Levi, Shirbat Borlea, Shlomo ben Sarah, Shmuel ben Meir, Yaakov ben Rachel, and El Miriam Bakila, Yitzchak ben Dina, Yonatan ben Hamadalea.
Gary Schmertz and Kristen Taylor.
We continue on page 177. Our God and God of our ancestors, whose mercy extends our prayer on behalf of our country and its government, pour out your blessing upon its land, its inhabitants, its leaders, judges, officers, and officials, who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice due to free, so that peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land. Adonai, God, the Spirit is in all creatures. We pray your Spirit be awakened within the inhabitants of our land. Root from our hearts hatred and malice, jealousy and strife, and love and companionship, peace and friendship among the many peoples and faiths who dwell in our nation. Grant us the knowledge to judge justly and the wisdom to act with compassion, and the understanding and courage to root out poverty from our land. May it be your will that our land be a blessing to all who dwell on earth. May you cause all people to dwell in friendship and freedom. Usually fulfill the vision of your prophet, nation shall not lift up word against nation, neither shall they learn more and more. For all who have the least and the greatest shall know me, and let us say, Amen. Page 178. Amir Shabbat Shemayim Yisrael Israel Goalo, Barak et Medinat Israel Shutei Rishis After Elohim. Amir Shabbat Shemayim Yisrael, Holy Redeemer of the people of Israel. Bless the state of Israel that it may be the beginning of our redemption. Deliver your well, spread over the shelter of your feet. Guide leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them from their efforts to triumph. Let the land refuse and its inhabitants be lasting joy. And let us say, Amen. Continue on page 181. Today is not Rosh Chodesh. I just want to point out to all of you that yesterday was in fact Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Can you believe it? The month in which we have Hanukkah. So get excited. Read your weekly emails about all the great celebrations. Ashrei, page 181. Ashrei Yoshei B'Ta'ah Kol Yalucha Kol Yalucha Hallelujah. Hallelujah. In the absence of Minion, we continue on page 185 with the private Hamidah, or the words interchange shoreline. Yasem Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Yahweh Yisrael. Continue in Eloheinu on page 204. In Eloheinu, in Adonai, in Eloheinu, in Moshiach. In Eloheinu, in Adonai, in Eloheinu, in Moshiach. Yodel Eloheinu, Yodel Adonai, Yodel Eloheinu, Yodel Moshiach. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonai, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshiach. Atanu Eloheinu, Atanu Eloheinu, Atanu Malkeinu, Atanu Moshiach. Atanu Shitiru, Avoteinu, Ve'alamecha, Et Yivoret HaSamim. Right, Charlie? Hallelujah, Shabbat, Adon, Hakol, Ha'kefila, L'Teresh, Shelo Asanu, Koyen Aratzo, Velo Osamanu, Yisokot Ha'adama, Shelo Samchatinu Kahan, Velo Raleinu Kebo Hamonam, V'yanamnu Ori, Unishtamani Uoti, V'temelach Ve'amami, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This week we especially remember Shirley Bloom, Abel Chayette, Eva Epstein, Joseph Ernest, Eva Cohen, Dr. Kraus, Karen Niederman, Bessie Noodle, Victor Meyer, Sylvia Apology, Matthew Raphael, Will Rubin, Sylvia Selleck, Bertram Shapiro, Celia Scher, Meyer Schumann, David Sokol, David Stein, Ilse Stoltenberg, Dr. Hyman Bullion, Norman Zine. We offer our condolences to Ed Rodman and Andy Hoover on the loss of Ed's father. Page 30 on the left-hand side. Shalom, Allah, miracle of Hassan. Master of the world, God, spirit of all flesh. It is revealed and known for you that it is my fervent desire to praise your name, and to remember and honor my beloved, that are excited to mourners, cottage, and comforting of the name. In my presence, your day, my community, find favor in your eyes. We accept and receive before you with evaluated time. Your name out of hand, the elevated and sanctified everywhere on earth, and may peace reign everywhere. Baruch Shem, V'olam, 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 V'olam. Praise be the name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. Special Romana, Huya Shalom, Alleluia, O Israel, Amen. A couple of quick announcements. Joshua and Sarah, always lovely being with you. Special call to Paul for leading family. We're here every week. It's a delight to be here with all of you who are here this morning. It's a great delight to welcome everybody online. If you're someone who can get here in person, we've been so close. We had 9 today, we had 9 last night. It would be such a delight to have 10 and be able to do all of the prayers that we want to do. So, you know me, I don't judge, I don't take attendance, but if you can make it in person, if you can come with a friend, that would be really, really lovely. We are on Friday nights at 6 p.m. We're on Saturday mornings at 7:30 and at 9:30. We're working on it with how we're going to stream these things in the best way, so we'll keep working on that. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., Metro West Culture Fest presents Seed, the Ethiopian Jewish holiday, with our special guest speaker, Dr. Sharon Shalom. If you haven't registered yet, please do. It's pretty delightful. He's going to talk about his immigration story from Ethiopia to Israel and share some festive music and some festival traditions with us. So it's all on Zoom, and the registration link is in your email. Next week, I expect a full house here on Saturday morning for a Shemitah themed Shalom class. What's Shemitah? Come to Shalom class. Learn about the 7th year in the Jewish agricultural cycle. Jackson will be having a musical meditation. We'll have traditional services. We will have Tashba and the school. We will have yoga, and we will have a text study by Rabbi Katie Allen. So all kinds of great stuff to reconnect with ourselves and the land and our environmental causes. Next Sunday, November 14th, the sister is having a cross-stitch event from 12:30 to 2 p.m. here in person, RSVP to join the Aglo. And then please go read your weekly emails, and with a pencil or paper or Google Calendar or however you keep track of your life, write down all the amazing stuff we're doing in Hanukkah. We have a full week, which will include, on the Friday night of Hanukkah, a musical Shabbat service and a donut truck. We're the cool kids, so mark your calendar and be here for all of the great Hanukkah events. I think that's it. But we really email in case there's something I'm forgot. So let's conclude with Adon Olam on page 211. Adon Olam Asher Nana B'Terem Kol Yitzir Yira V'Yein Asa V'Chatocho Azai V'Elem Shemo Nivna V'Yakareh V'Lo Kamo L'Varo Yizom Norem Lehu Hayam Lehu Omer Lehu Yirah Arah Lehu Elam Le'Sheni Lemam Shiro Lemam Yirah Le'Li Reshit Le'Li Tachlit Le'Lo Ha'om Lemam Yisrael Le'Hu Eli Le'Chai Wali Le'Tzor Pevli V'Yetzara Le'Hu Nisi U'Anosli Le'Nat Osli Le'Yom Ha'Viyato Abidruti Le'Kishan Da'ira Le'Yikruti Ye'Yadi Adonai Elohim. Shalom.
What?